Hey Spirit folk, Bret and Cindy here. We've been off the road for the last month, visiting family, having good family time. And now we're back on the road and we are visiting Big Bend National Park, one of our favorite national parks. The least visited. The best time to go is during winter, when it's cooler, unless you like the hot, hot, hot. So I also wanted to introduce you to the newest member of our cast. Here she comes.
This is Rizzo, named after the character in Grease, but we're also a big fan of Rizzo the Rat from the Muppets. But you'll be seeing a lot of her in upcoming episodes of Van Spirit, I'm sure. As Cindy said, this is Big Bend National Park. The best time of the year to come here is the winter because it's just beautiful. It's 65-degree days. It gets down 30s or 40s at night, just perfect for hiking and enjoying the high desert. The wintertime is, of course, when the high desert is most green. So the bushes and the cacti and the juniper trees are all just beautiful this time of year. Some have called Big Bend the crown jewel, one of the crown jewels of the national park system, up there with Yosemite and Glacier and the big ones. And it is also the most underutilized. The least amount of people come here because they think it's just the South Texas, it's just desert, and it is desert, but it is desert in its most beautiful, pristine, thousands of acres of rolling hills and buttes and mountains. The center of the park is the Chiso mountain range, and you can drive up. It's, I don't know, a couple thousand feet from the valley floor up to the top, but you're in a basin of rock. And one of the most famous hikes on the map is to something called the window. And Cindy did that the other morning to greet the new year, walking out to the window, because you're kind of in this bowl and then there's a window out into the world. On this episode, we're going to talk a little more about Cindy's spiritual practice of bird watching and what that brings to her in her life. Anyhow, welcome back. We've been off the road, as Cindy said, and now we're back on the road. We'll be going from here out to the Arizona desert and then out to Southern California. Stay tuned to this episode of Van Spirit.
Cindy here. I am on top of an overlooking the Rio Grande River in Big Bend National Park. It's just breathtaking. This is what my bird walk ended up with. I am going to talk to you about what bird watching means to me. It's a spiritual practice for me. I enjoy it. Gets me to get out in nature. And so I have that goal to go get all my gear on and look like this with my binoculars. And it also has me getting in the present moment. So when I'm out in nature, I can't be worried about the past or the present because I am immersed in the present moment. I am ready to look at everything around me, not just the birds, but the birds get me out there. Birds get me out there. Don't get me wrong on that. The variety that is out there for us to admire and to just be. I do have a list of birds that I can recognize by sound, by sight. I really appreciate what God, Spirit, nature, the universe has given us. And I just find it amazing, the variety of colors and sizes and songs and locations where they are. And so this is my official bird watching with my binoculars in Big Bend. So I look forward to it. I've already seen some amazing things. I videotaped a roadrunner that I saw, really big. He was doing his little stuff. His top feathers were going, his back feathers were going, his side feathers. It was amazing. So, and also vistas. So hopefully this will give you a, a view into why I love bird watching and why it's a spiritual practice. So enjoy and be well. Wanted to share some points about what birding does to me. First of all, it's a spiritual practice. And I've got 3 points on what it brings to me. The first, it brings me out into nature. So while at Kavala Meditation Refuge, where we were in 4 seasons, we were there during winter and just noticing the being out in nature, just noticing whatever is around. So at Kavala, I was noticing the trees getting ready for winter, lost most of their leaves, the wind making the leaves rustle, the stark white birch trees as beacons of light around the darker trunks, the babbling brook, deer walking or bounding about with their little white tails bouncing behind. So these were just a few things that I saw on my walks when I would go see birds. Mary Oliver, one of my favorite poets, she writes a lot about nature and is just very true to my heart. And one of her poems I'd like to read to you and speaks to me. And when I'm out in nature, I see a lot of poetry in everything around me. So here's Mary Oliver's poem. When I am among the trees, especially the willows and the honey locusts, they give off such hints of gladness. I would almost say that they save me, and daily. I am so distant from the hope of myself, in which I have goodness and discernment, and never hurry through the world, but walk slowly and bow often. Around me, the trees stir in their leaves and call out, "Stay a while." The light flows from their branches, and they call again. It's simple, they say. And you too have come into the world to do this, to go easy, to be filled with light, and to shine. That speaks so much to what I feel in my spiritual practice of going on walks and going bird watching. My second point is wonder and awe. I just get excited about the details, like noticing the size and shape, as well as the specific colors and markings of the birds and their songs. Like a few days ago, walking the dog on her first walk of the day at 7:30 a.m. It was just getting light, just at sunrise. I hear a distinct woodpecker laugh, but louder and more boisterous than usual. I turn towards the sound, and during this time, I don't have my binoculars. It's one of the largest woodpeckers, a pileated woodpecker. It's what Woody Woodpecker, the cartoon, is made from. The one, yeah, so the really big. So probably, I don't know, 2 feet tall, pretty big. Clear as day. So again, I didn't have my binoculars. I could see it with my naked eyes. And I knew exactly the bird, which is not usually the case unless it's a typical bird you normally see, or guessing between several birds based on the lighting and lighting is everything. My third point is bird watching gives me a lot of gratitude. So the first two that I mentioned, it brings me into nature and gives me wonder and awe. That also is a part of the gratitude for all the amazing varieties of birds out there and how they interact with nature. While in Japan, I learned a new ritual, or one of their traditions of bringing in the new year, by greeting the new sun, ideally by going to the top of a mountain or going to a body of water. The first year I experienced it was on one of Okinawa's many islands by the ocean, Ie Island, with many Japanese locals greeting the sun. It was such a beautiful greeting. And meeting of the first sun of the new year, there was a shorebird that was just on the beach not too far from me, enjoying it as well. So there I am. I'm again bird watching. They're everywhere. Last year, I greeted the new sun close to where I lived. So still in Okinawa, Japan, but neither on a mountain or by the ocean. It was just down the road. Um, but it was a beautiful experience nonetheless. It was wonderful to go out an hour before the sun rose and be out in darkness and quiet. The birds weren't even up yet. So I was there before the birds were. And just as you got to see some light in the sky, so you weren't seeing the sun yet, but you were just seeing some initial morning light, that's when you would just hear a trickle of the bird songs. You know, they were just gradually getting up for the day. And it was just so magical to be witness to that. Even though I wasn't seeing the birds, just hearing them as the sun was coming up was just amazing. So hopefully you get a good feel of what I get during my spiritual ritual of going bird watching. And it's all encompassing. It's bird watching, nature, hike. It's all one to me. Because whether I'm just hiking, the birds are out there. Whether I'm just birding, I'm out in nature. So that's what gives me a really nice, full physical and spiritual and emotional body hug. So there it is for you. And next, stay tuned for my third year of my new ritual of greeting the new sun and what it gave me. Good to see you all, and see you soon.